So, you want to run Tales from the Yawning portal but don't have time to read the book or never learned to read in the first place. Well, then let me explain it as quickly as I can. Spoilers, obviously. Introduction. So, your group has decided it's about time to get to that part of Dungeons and Dragons where there's at least a dungeon and maybe a dragon from time to time. Well, you're in luck because this book is literally nothing but dungeons. It couldn't be nothing but dragons since that's just called a monster manual and most people already have that one. This book has a total of 7 dungeons. None of these dungeons know each other or talk to each other. They're less of a cohesive family that can be run one after the other and more of a bunch of individual awkward teens at a school dance. So if you want them to all get on the dance floor and start moving together, it's going to take a lot of work and might not be worth all the trouble. Better to just approach one all on its own and hope it can hold a conversation long enough for you to pass the time. Speaking of time and segues, the Yawning Portal is an inn run by Durnan, a man of few words and even fewer cares for those dying at the bottom of his murder well. The inn is located in Waterdeep, a city laid out in an entirely different module, so enjoy not having any of that information. Chapter 1: The Sunless Citadel. It is time for some low-level dungeon delving where the party ventures into a tower that has become a spacious basement after the Earth decided to remodel. Inside, goblins and kobolds fight over who gets to sell apples each year and how to split custody of a white dragon so that both groups get an adequate amount of time being clawed to death. In the basement of this basement, there's an evil apple tree and a druid that wants you to become part of the apple-selling pyramid scheme. If you say no, you are transported to Russia, where the apple tree eats you, though I hope you are normally eating just the apples and not the whole damn tree. Chapter 2: The Forge of Fury. Long ago, some dwarves had a cool stronghold, but then orcs came and sacked it. So the dwarves left and made a new cool stronghold, and the orcs once again sacked it. Now there's another group of dwarves that want to make another cool stronghold, but don't worry. This time they're purple dwarves, so it's an entirely different situation. Besides the orcs, which are still around, but apparently not in a sacking mood right now. To get to the dwarves, you have to fight an orc with pet vampire bats, but not as cute as normal vampire bats, an ogre with pet dogs, but not as cute as normal dogs, and troglodytes with a pet bear, which is pretty cute until it gets out of its cage and starts mauling people. Also, try to avoid the dragon that swims through from time to time on grocery runs. It is no one's pet, and if you want to call it cute, you're going to need to roll a persuasion check. When you finally get through all of that and reach the forge this dungeon was named for, the dwarves running it kindly ask you to leave. That way they can get back to making enough cool stuff that sacking their stronghold will be worth it for the orcs. Getting a magic sword at the end of this dungeon would have been nice, but hey, at least you got to fight a table along the way. Chapter 3: The Hidden Shrine of Tamoachan. This adventure has the party searching a ruined city for a hidden shrine. Oh wait, no, never mind. You've fallen in a pit. Well, it's a nice pit, so might as well explore it. Just watch out, since the walls are soaked in Bud Light lime, the bridges are made of slug, and at least one trap was designed specifically for Anakin Skywalker. Try not to die to the rolling stone, the jelly mirror, the liquid morph suit that suffocates you, which I fear is a weird sex thing, and the glyph of warding that's actually a dragon, but actually a stone golem, but actually a trap, but actually a sauna? Avoid all that and you can play some soccer, meet the god of corn, revive a vampire that drinks blood out of a cup because he isn't a savage, and finally discover that shrine this adventure was named after. It's a rat-bat shrine with scythe wings and a bunch of money underneath it. Taking this money triggers the final trap, which is debt-collecting vampires and gods demanding you fill out the proper tax paperwork for your newly found wealth. Chapter 4: White Plume Mountain. A wizard once heard of a mountain for bad boys and thought it'd be a cool place to hang out. 1300 years later, he thought it would be even cooler if it was filled with 3 magic weapons. The previous owners of said weapons did not think that was cool and have sent the party to retrieve their property. While trying to find the stolen property, you'll run into a fake ring that is a great salesman, the Cirque du Soleil training grounds, a werewolf that has an Instagram lifestyle, and an aquarium so deadly even SeaWorld wouldn't keep it open for more than 2 or 3 profitable seasons. Also, if you touch any rusty nails in here, you will contract super tetanus, which is like normal tetanus, but like super. Of the 3 stolen weapons, Wave is in the translucent skin dome surrounded by boiling water and protected by a giant version of those Skyrim monocle crabs. Black Razor is under the couch of the monster with a 1,000-year-long gambling problem, and Whelm is guarded by the vampire in timeout without a nightlight. Once you have all 3, 2 red genies will try to offer you a job as a security guard, since you have most likely killed all the previous security guards by now. The only benefit it comes with is experiencing Mass Effect 3 indoctrination without experiencing the original ending of Mass Effect 3. Chapter 5: Dead in the Thay. Hi, I'm a Thayan concierge, and it is my honor to welcome you to the Doom Vault. Forcefully taken from its last overlord, who was enslaved, the Doom Vault has unparalleled access to legions of monstrous creatures, including demons, oozes, sentient plants, golems, and so much more. Once you've worked up an appetite, head on over to Swine Run, our on-site pig processing plant, for a delectable menu of fresh, local ingredients, all of which happen to be pork. Or if you need a pick me up, go on over to the Forest of Slaughter where we've put a pool of renewal. A single sip will leave you energized and ready for your day. One sip per person, otherwise that day will be spent looking for a cleric. We make it easy to practice the dark arts in our 24-hour Hall of Necromancy and stay committed to our Lord, Khazit Ghul, in our Hall of Obedience. We want to make sure that just because you're not out there crushing the rebellion doesn't mean you're not evil. Retreat to comfort in our phylactery vault, with its gravity-defying walls, pools of necromantic energy, and sepulchres for your phylactery in case of your mortal form's destruction. It's overseen by Khazit Ghul himself and our elite team of 4-armed gargoyles for your peace of mind. No matter what your reason for coming here, the Doom Vault has all of the deathly services and horrific amenities you require. Chapter 6: Against the Giants. In this 3-part dungeon adventure, you fight against giants that have been raiding the countryside, which will not come as a surprise, but the pages and pages of loot might be a surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one. In the steading of the Hill Giant Chief, you can stage a slave uprising, but only after getting through about 5 alcohol-induced coma giants and maybe 1 or 2 actively dangerous hill giants. While touring the glacial rift of the Frost Giant Jarl, you can come across a storm giant that is chained to a wall and has survived an onslaught of torture, in the form of being provided wine and snacks. If you free her, she will fight for you, but if you seem a bit mean, she will leave, most likely to find better wine and snacks. In the Hall of the Fire Giant King, the ugliest giants get to be king and queen, which seems unnecessarily rude to point out, but the benefits are better than the alternative of never getting a match on Tinder. If you make it to the 3rd level, you'll find an adult red dragon and the mastermind behind all the giant raids, which turns out to be a purple elf with a tentacle whip. Seems more like a 50 Shades of Grey fanfiction character than an evil villain, but hey, I guess it can be both. Chapter 7: Tomb of Horrors. There are 2 ways to run this dungeon. The one-shot dungeon where a bunch of random characters die, or the dungeon where all the characters of your 2-year-long campaign die, soon followed by the death of the DM at the hands of the players. Characters could survive by poking around with a pole and continually sending wizard familiars to their death to map out the dungeon, but that would take days, and I don't want to sit at the table listening to how a pet owl explodes for the 19th time. So while you're sitting back and enjoying the carnage, feel free to watch characters leap into a black hole, get squished by a giant rolling pin, turn to dust when incorrectly using headgear, hold a wish gem until it explodes, or just die a natural death at the hands of the undead. If people do survive, they might get transported back to the beginning of the dungeon without their equipment. The only way to get that equipment back is to fight through the dungeon naked, at least until they run into the floating head that took all their clothes and it sucks out their soul. With that, you can now run every dungeon in the Tales of the Yawning portal.